here we're at the scratch.mit.edu site. It's the home page for Scratch, and we're going to create a new project by clicking on Create. And I'm going to be creating some of my own sprites. I've got over on the right hand side here a tips window, which I'm going to close. Ordinarily this area over here would be where we drag commands. It's the reverse of Scratch 1.4. Here's my main sprite window, and you can see by default we've got the cat. I'm going to get rid of the cat by cutting in with the scissors. And over here we've got the new sprites, and last time we had a look at choosing sprites from the library. This time I'm going to paint a new sprite, and this will open up the paint window here, which should be very familiar, certainly some of the tools if you've used programs such as Colour Magic. And as I'm basing my book on my Scratch project on the Very Hungry Caterpillar, the first thing that I'm going to draw is with a paintbrush, a reasonably thick line. I'm going to draw myself an apple. What's great about the Very Hungry Caterpillar is that the shapes in it are reasonably simple to draw. So let's go back to the brush tool. I've just used the brush tool and the fill tool to get myself a little apple. Let's make a slightly thinner line, and let's make a bit of a stalk at the top. So a really nice simple apple. And you can see it's on my main stage now. I can drag it around. I can also, if I click on the grow and then double click, make the apple bigger, or if I shrink, I can make it much smaller. Another neat tool is the duplicate tool, and I've now got sprite 1 and sprite 2 at the bottom. I've got two apples that are currently sitting one on top of each other. Really importantly with sprites as well, if you click the blue eye icon, you can actually give the sprite a name, and you can change the rotation style, which is quite important when we get to games that we'll have a look at in a little while. So let's go back, and we'll call this one Apple 2. And away we go. Now from a children's point of view, it would be very easy to draw another sprite over here in the same window as the apple. But what's really important is that we make our new sprites separate. So when I'm come to paint the pear for the next part of my project, I'm not going to use the ellipse tool. Actually, I'm going to stick to the paintbrush and get myself a pear drawn. There we go. This is a separate sprite to the apple, and that's a really important point. If we did both sprites in the same paint window, we'd come into complications. So there we go, a nice simple pear. It's a little bit large at the moment. Let's just shrink it down a little bit, and then let's drag it over. Maybe we don't need the two apples. If we don't need them, one of them, we can always just delete it. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that action one final time. I'm going to make a final new sprite for the moment, and this time I'm going to draw hopefully a strawberry using the brush tool and picking the colour that I want. And there we go. Let's use the fill tool to fill that in, and I could, if I wanted to be really quite clever, actually pick black and do a smaller line and do some little kind of strawberry dots on top, and a nice little green leaf, so that I can let's use a slightly wider brush. There's my green leaves for the top. Okay, and there is my strawberry. Let's just do a little bit of a stalk there. There we go. A couple of other interesting things that you can do. We're currently zooming in at 200%. If I click on the two lines, it takes me back to 100%, or I can zoom out and zoom in. You can also, if you click on the little arrow over here, you can make your paint editor take up more of the window. There's also a selection tool. So if you did want to, for instance, copy, for example, to copy, I'm just going to use the keyboard shortcuts for Control-C, Control-V. But again, this is quite advanced techniques in the paint window here that you don't necessarily need to get going on this one. There's also a rubber eraser tool So if you do make a little mistake, you can rub bits out.